If you love the taste of smoked and grilled food but don't have a lot of time to grill frequently, a little bit of meal prep can go a long way to saving you a ton of time. I'm going to share with you my best tips and tricks, and none of them involve an Instant Pot. Meal prep doesn't have to mean making a lot of one thing and then eating it every day until it's gone. Instead, I'm going to cook the protein in advance for future meals, throw in a few sides at the last minute, and that combination will save me a ton of time while still getting a lot of the grilled flavor that I love. The first tip is to cook twice as much of whatever you're going to cook. So if you're going to smoke something for say 6 or 12 hours, it's not really that much extra work to make twice as much or as much as you can fit in your grill. So I needed 1 pork roast, but I put in 2 just to make sure that I had leftovers, and I prepared them a little bit differently. One of them had a standard barbecue rub for pulled pork sandwiches for that night, and the other one I did more generic flavors like salt, pepper, and garlic, so that way I could add the flavors that I want for whatever meal I'm going to cook with it later. And I'm going to let that go for a little while, and then I'll share my storing and reheating tips a little later in the video. The double or nothing tip works really well for other things like whole chicken, where I can take the different parts and then season them differently for different meals in the future. Chicken breasts are good just about any time. The thighs make an amazing sandwich like this one, or you can take the drumsticks either hot or cold for lunch the next day. Whenever I fire up the grill, that doesn't mean that I need to cook twice as much of one thing. For example, with this gas grill, I've got multiple burners and heat zones, and that means I can cook tonight's dinner on one side, and whatever else I want to cook on the other, and they can cook at different temperatures. When I'm doing that, there are 2 things that you need to consider. Number 1, consider what makes the best leftovers. When it comes to hamburgers, they're never going to be better than the moment that they come off of the grill. They're always going to be worse the next day, and that's why I'll always cook them for tonight's meal and never for leftovers. Instead, I'll use things like chicken thighs or pork chops, which I know will hold over pretty well. In fact, that's what I'm going to do in this next cook. I'm going to grill up some hamburgers for tonight, and then I'm going to grill up some Cajun-style chicken thighs, as well as some garlicky Asian-style pork chops. And the second thing to consider is cook times. If I'm cooking something like a whole chicken, it may take me an hour and a half start to finish. It'd be a real bummer to be out tending the grill instead of hanging out with my family at dinner time. Or, that could be an advantage depending on who you invited over. But if I find myself in that situation, I'm always going to make sure that I take the thing that's going to cook the longest. I'll start it first, so that way everything gets done at about the same time. So back to the pulled pork. For long-term storage, you're going to want to make sure that you include all of the juices from the cooking, and then mix it up again right as it starts to cool, and that makes it possible so that we have a little bit of fat and a little bit of broken down collagen in every single bag, and that's good insurance for when you reheat it to make sure that things don't get dry, especially when you consider they might be frozen for a month or 2, or 6 if it falls to the back of the freezer. And that's also true if you're making ready-made meals like these breakfast burritos. I don't have a lot of time in the morning, and it's nice to be able to grab something out of the freezer, throw it in the microwave, and grab it, and go, and you've got breakfast already. You're going to want a vacuum sealer for this job, but if you don't have one, you could use some good freezer bags. Just know that the lifetime in the freezer is only going to be about a month or 2. If you're going the vacuum sealer route, you want to make sure that all of the pulled pork or whatever barbecue meat you're doing has been in the fridge for overnight, so that way all of the juices are solidified. Otherwise, when you go and put the vacuum and it squeezes down on the meat, all those juices are going to push forward into the vacuum chamber and make it hard to get a good seal. There's nothing worse than having to throw away the meat that you worked really hard over, kept it for a couple of months, and only to have it get freezer burned. Then I smash them flat so that way they store easy, but there's an added benefit. It makes it so that way they thaw a lot faster when it comes time to reheat them. When it's time to eat, I'll grab the vacuum bag and throw it in a pot of water, and I'll bring that up to a boil. Once it boils, I'll turn it off, and I can use that as a lazy sous vide method to keep the food nice and hot until I'm ready for it. Now you could take it out of the bag and throw it in a pan, but I found that this method, the sous vide method, works the best for making sure that you don't have dry meat when you're done. And as I package up this pulled pork, I really don't know what kind of meals it's going to turn into, but a lot of times I like to make burritos, pulled pork sandwiches, enchiladas. You can put it in chili or with eggs and hash browns. It makes a really good mountain man breakfast, but it has a ton of smoky flavor that you won't get from your Instant Pot. And the best tip I have for meal prepping like a Pitmaster is to cook and season your food to perfection. And in this video, I share a simple trick that will make a dramatic difference the next time you grill up some chicken.